I'm Laurie Cardoza-Moore, and this is Focus on Israel. One of the fundamental Zionist concepts is Hityashvut, which means settling the land. In the early 1900s, it was Jews with this spirit that came to reestablish Israel as their home. One young Israeli woman saw the need to bring that spirit back to the next generation, and thus Kedma was born. Hello, and thank you for joining me today on Focus on Israel. Like most Americans, I began to ask a lot of questions about what happened to our country following 9/11. As I read and talked to experts, the issues of radical Islam and the attacks on America and Israel became extremely personal to me. I realized that Israel is facing threats from nearly every corner, from Iran's nuclear weapons program, from terrorist groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. I also saw how much of the world comes against the Jewish state. The UN and the world continue to demand the creation of a Palestinian state, a terrorist state, on Israel's doorstep. Now we see a rise of global anti-Semitism, as it seems we're heading closer to the biblical prophecy of Armageddon in the Middle East. So if you're a Christian, why should you care? Many Christians believe that as the Jews rejected Jesus, then God has rejected them. This replacement theology is growing as many Christians believe they have replaced the Jews in God's prophetic plan. If you truly believe the Bible is the Word of God, then you know that when He speaks of Israel, He is speaking about the land of Israel and the Jewish people, not the church. The mission of this series and PJTN is to educate and equip you so that you can share this truth with your family and friends. If the pioneering Jews of the early 1900s had not made the precarious move to their ancient homeland, would there be an Israel today? Probably not. The world has never given anything to the Jewish people except misery and hardship. And the very idea of the UN voting for Israel's reestablishment in 1948, well, a miracle indeed. Dare I say, nothing even close to that would come from the UN or any other international body today. But a country is truly defined by its borders, and maintaining those borders cannot always be done through military force alone. It takes people. Tirael Cohen witnessed rockets from above and tunnels from below threatening Israel's southern and northern border communities in 2014. But where most Israelis just saw threats, Cohen saw a need, and so she took action to jumpstart the creation of communities of young people around Israel's borders. She called her Young Zionist initiative Kedma Hityashvut. The initiative was designed to benefit the strategic needs of her country, as well as the economic, social, and ideological needs of her peers. Strategically, it is essential to have strong border communities, but many struggle to keep their young people and therefore their culture, growth, and welfare. With a grant from the Israeli government, Cohen started by founding a student village in Ma'ale Ephraim in the Jordan Valley. The abandoned community was built after the 1967 Six-Day War, but left behind after experiencing intense terrorist attacks during the First Intifada in the late 1980s and early 1990s. As a doctorate student of Zionism and community building at Hebrew University of Jerusalem, she continues to learn about and draws inspiration from Israel's early pioneers, both in philosophy and action. In 2015, she received the Moskowitz Spirit of Zion Award, which is given for new initiatives to young Israelis with vision who recognize the need to stand up and be counted. I had a chance while in Israel to talk with Tirael about how Kedma has proven beneficial for her, her students, and her country.
I dreamed about my step, my aliyah to Israel since I was a kid. And actually the first student village, which is here in Ma'ale Ephraim in Jordan Valley, started 5 years ago. We were a group of young students, Israelis. My parents made aliyah from Paris in the 80s. They came to Israel when Israel wasn't Israel of today. It was a very challenging move to move from Paris to Israel. And they did it because they believed in Zionism. They came here when they were 18, alone, as lonely soldiers. I grew up on this big inspiration of a big move, a big ideological move that changed their lives and our lives as families. And the first time I came to beautiful Jordan Valley, I felt that this was my aliyah to Israel. It was my step towards Zionism. Israel is a narrow country. There are only 50 kilometers between the eastern border between Israel and Jordan and the ocean. And we need to protect those 70 kilometers the best we can, because that's Central Israel, and this is Jordan, which we know is an unstable country with many, many Palestinians. We don't know the exact numbers because the Jordan Authority won't give it to us. Now, this means that we need to protect the land. The only way to protect the land and the border is when a living community is there, living there, staying there at night, falling in love there, living a real part of their life in these areas. That's the only way of really having grip of the land. And what we do is we come and we make these communities stronger. We bring all the time through our student villages more and more young and strong forces that come from the right reasons. This is the responsibility of our generation to settle the eastern border, to settle Jordan Valley, to settle the Lebanon border, to settle the Gaza Strip border. Jordan Valley is very, very large, and it's the eastern border of the state of Israel, but in population it's very small. The community in Jordan Valley didn't grow for many, many years. It's been 50 years, since a little more than 50 years since the 67th war, the Six-Day War, and still in population, Jordan Valley was supposed to be 20,000 people, and today there are only 7,000 people that live here. It's a Zionist practice that the way to protect a border is not tanks or helicopters, it's people, it's living activist communities that live on the borders. That's the way we protect the Lebanon border, that's the way we protect the Gaza Strip, and that's the way we protect the eastern border, the border with Jordan. On the Lebanon border, we see communities that are an average age 73, 75. So our goal as a generation is to come to these communities, which are so important, and renew them and bring young population to come and live in those communities, to fall in love with the story of settling the land of Israel. My goal is to create 18 communities of young Israelis that come and strengthen the land of Israel in the frontiers, 6 in the eastern border, which we already have built in the last 5 years, 6 in the Galil border, which we just started on doing. We have 2 communities there already, and 6 in the Gaza Strip border, in which we already have our first community that was just brought up. These areas are strategic to the security of the state of Israel, and I believe also to the spirituality of saying, this is Israel, this is the Jewish people, this is our land. When we come to those areas which are crucial to the state of Israel, we see that many times the communities of the kibbutzim are small. The communities are supposed to be at least 400 families each community, and many times there's elderly population, there's the young generation that fled away because of all the security issues, because of all the economic challenges. What happens is the students come, they become a part of the population, they live here, they feel that they belong, they take responsibilities through their volunteering. These young people are Zionists, and the Student Village is the platform to come and fulfill themselves for the State of Israel. I find that when you come with energies of doing good, when you're connected to yourself and to your mission, all the challenges get small towards that. I believe in our right to be here, not only historically, but also spiritually. That the only way the Jewish people are Jewish people is if they follow the Bible and live in the areas our story was written in.
I want to take you to Israel in pictures and film. I want you to see how God's sovereign hand can be seen before our eyes right here in this land. That's why PJTN is offering a special anniversary package that includes a captivating new book and award-winning DVD. Israel Rising is a unique visual story of Israel's miraculous journey from unforgiving desert to thriving nation. Thousands of years ago, the prophet Ezekiel foretold a future time in which the arid land of Israel would come alive for its people. Now this breathtaking book documents the fulfillment of this vision, as rarely seen photographs from the 1880s to the 1940s are juxtaposed with recent photos of the same locations. This book will inspire and captivate you as it illuminates Israel's foretold awakening in a new and unforgettable way. In addition, you'll receive the award-winning documentary, Israel Indivisible, The Case for the Ancient Homeland. This inspiring film examines the many political twists and turns that make Israel the world's most controversial nation. From Abraham and the Promise to the issues facing the Jewish state today, the film examines the historical, archaeological, legal, and biblical foundations for the modern state of Israel. This is a limited time offer for these two remarkable resources for just a one-time gift of $70 today. Your generous donation will help ensure that PJTN stays on the front lines and in the headlines of all the important issues facing Israel and our Jewish brethren. So please go to PJTN.org today. From studying history, it's very clear that what starts with the Jews never ends only with the Jews. We must strongly stand against any anti-Semitic trends, for if not stopped, they'll cause harm to all of us, and we'll witness the downfall of our Judeo-Christian Western culture. Today, many people say there's no longer a need for a Jewish state, that Jews around the world no longer need a place of refuge. But anyone who has heard recent statistics about the worldwide rise in anti-Semitism would never make such a claim. The reality is that neo-Nazi groups and Nazi sympathizers are increasing around the world. Surveys show that over 1 billion people in the world harbor anti-Semitic attitudes. Close to 50% believe that Jews have too much power in the business world, and 2/3 of the world's population has never heard of the Holocaust or believe the historic accounts of it are inaccurate. Don't let yourself be manipulated by evil people with a wicked agenda. When the self-serving villains are in control, good people from all religions suffer. Muslims, Christians, and all people of conscience should stand proudly and show respect for a country that gives so much to the world in so many ways. Do your part. Do your research, and do what you can to make a difference. Because what happens in Israel does affect us all. This is not just a Jewish or just an Israeli problem. This is a problem for all humanity, for each and every one of us who believe in freedom and human rights. Learn more about what you can do at pjtn.org. Of course, without the student volunteers, Kedma would not exist. For students living in the villages, their lives take on new meaning with their volunteer work as they become the real security of Israel. Between 30 to 50 students live at each student village, and the close-knit vibe is important to creating communities reminiscent of Israel's early pioneering communities. Its members reflect the new Israeli Jew of agricultural types. Powerful men and women who play an active part in industry while excelling academically as well. In exchange for the students' subsidized housing, the students are required to volunteer 300 hours per year, 120 hours of mapping the community's needs and building answers to those needs, 120 hours of social entrepreneurship, and 60 hours of building an internal community on the student village through cultural events and group learning. For many, after settling as students on Israel's frontiers, an estimated 70% of them choose to stay on Israel's frontiers after leaving the student villages. Kedma has nurtured 300 young Israelis into potential leaders who understand that their nation's interests and their interests are aligned. Tirael believes change comes from young people devoted to their mission. This is something special in Israeli society and DNA, and that's how Israel was built. I had a chance to speak with a few of the students during my visit to one of the villages.
The first Kedma program is the Student Village program, which takes students, instead of living on campus, to live in the frontiers of the State of Israel. The students volunteer, they get a scholarship, and our goal is to give them a scratch, which will make them want to stay and live in these beautiful, important areas of the frontiers of the State of Israel. Another program we have is a pre-army program. It's called the Shnat Shirut program, which is young Israelis from all over the State of Israel. They come for a year of volunteer. They work in agriculture in the morning, helping Israeli farmers to work the land. So they work with date trees and with olive trees, depends on the season, helping the farmers with Israeli Jewish hands building the land of Israel and working it. And in the afternoon, they work in the communities with the kids and the youth, helping them connect to the Zionist story and to their mission in settling the land.
I didn't want to go straight to the army. I felt like I need to get more for myself, get more ready for the army, and I thought that was the best way to work the land, to learn how to be more productive, and I came here. I thought that if I won't come here, nobody else would come here, and it's my responsibility, it's my land, and I gotta defend it and work it. I grew up in Hebron, and I was very religious, but I lost my yarmulke. It's my faith that I will come here and work here because that's our father's land. I love the land, I love the people. I came here because I think it's important to be here, to protect this land, because it's a great land and it's ours.
So the reason I'm in this program and I wanted to be in it is because I wanted 1 year that I wouldn't think about me and what I get out of it, and just give. Like my father, he's part of the family, are the first one who did the kibbutz and everything, so I wanted to do something like them, like they inspired me. To do something like agriculture, that usually in this industry you wouldn't get to do it. So it's something special, and you get the views and the place that you will never see, and the experience, and to live with 9 teens that my age and to have experience. It's important to me as a Jew because this is our land, and this part of the land is usually not with Jews, it's with all mixed and everything. So I wanted to come here and be the part of who brings other Jew, or maybe like help the agriculture and the farmers here so they won't quit, because it's very hard in Israel to do those stuff, especially here, and not to take Palestinians or Thailand to work. So we're here to do the work.
I joined Kedma basically because I felt like I wanted to make a change after about 12 years of learning and going to school basically. I felt I was only taking things and were given things, basically people fed me my whole life. And I just wanted that 1 year where I can give and where I can feel like I'm making a change, making a difference and helping people. I've been involved in the program of Kedma for about 2 months now. We've started 2 months ago. Kedma changed me as a person. I feel like it made me realize more carefully who I am and what I should do, where and when. Very importantly, it taught me how to reach to other people, talk to them, how to in some way persuade them that this place, the Jordan Valley, isn't a wasteland. People look at it as if it's a deserted desert. And this place is full of life and people just trying to make a change. Participating in the Shnat Sharut program of Kedma made me feel like I'm giving a whole lot from the get-go, because we're going around in the Jordan Valley and we're helping farmers that need our help. They don't have enough hands or money to hire regular workers. And we're there to help them to, you know, pick up the crops and cut things that need to be cut.
We hope for good years, and we believe that our goal is to do our mission with humbleness and being brave and continuing every day again and again. So I have a big belief on walking on this path.
Well, that's our program for today, and I want you to know we appreciate your support. The time to take a stand is now. Be a leader in your community and in your church. One person can make a difference. Get involved with and support pro-Israel organizations such as PJTN. Call your senators, congressmen. Let your elected leaders hear from you. Visit our website to learn more. Sign up to receive action alerts and order our films to share with family and friends. Please encourage everyone you know to tune in and become informed. God bless you, and thank you for all you do on behalf of our Jewish brethren and all Israel. We'll see you next time on Focus on Israel.
To support this program, send your tax-deductible gift to Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, P.O. Box 682711, Franklin, Tennessee 37068. You can also support PJTN online. Visit pjtn.org or call 1-877-873-9020.
Anti-Semitism has reached epic proportions, and Israel is now surrounded by nations who seek its destruction. For Israel to lose just one battle would mean losing everything. As Christians, it is our biblical responsibility to stand with our Jewish brethren and Israel. PJTN needs your help to reach more Christians with this urgent message. Please visit our website to become a member today and order our award-winning documentaries. You must decide that you won't be silent. Sign up now at pjtn.org. God bless you, and thank you for your support and prayers.